What's an encounter with a celebrity you've had where they were an absolute D? I was sitting in the lounge in one of the big music studios in Hollywood, and Bruno Mars walks up, looks at me, and says, "Where the F cake is my cab?" I looked at him and said, "Who the F cake are you?" I really had no idea who he was, but dude did act like an absolute D. Nicest guy ever. Billy Ray Cyrus. The studio had a policy that you're never supposed to touch the food any of the artists order or bring in, and you're especially not supposed to take any home. As I was leaving, he slipped me to huge meat and cheese trays out the door when no one was looking. As an intern trying to make it as an audio engineer, that sustained me for almost 2 weeks. Oprah didn't tip me on a $200 lunch. Instead, she signed a napkin for me and acted like she was doing me a huge favor. The kicker was when she walked in, they gave away all of my other tables, so she didn't have to wait for anything. So I made $4 divided by hour for 2 hours for the privilege of serving Oprah, and she goes on and on about signing a napkin for me that I never asked for. Used to work at a Hard Rock hotel. Mariah Carey was the absolute definition of a F-King diva. She used a bunch of employee passageways, and we were instructed that if we looked her in the eyes, we would get written up. We were also told that we had to immediately vacate any room that she entered, even if we were in the cafeteria on break or in the bathroom doing our business. She's in a hole on top of that too. A few of her backup dancers accused her of sexual assault during #Medu, and nothing ever came of it. Back in the 90 seconds, I worked on the stage musical production of Beauty and the Beast. The guy who played the talking clock is an Australian celebrity by the name of Bert Newton. He always used to say hi and make conversation until he found out I was one of the lighting crew. After that, he wouldn't even glance at me. Slightly related, on the same show, I used to hang out with the dude that played Gaston at stage door having a ciggy during interval. I only recently discovered that it was Hugh Jackman. Really nice dude. Probably 10 or 11 years ago, I was working baits of a WWE house show. My job was to find the contest winners and bring them to introduce them to a couple of the bigger stars. My immediate report went to Ricky Steamboat, who was incredible. I had a question for him, but he was standing there talking to Chris Jericho. Not wanting to be rude, I stood to the side, waiting for their conversation to end before I interrupted. Jericho stopped mid-sentence, looked at me and said, "Are you F-King lost?" When Ricky turned around to see who Jericho was talking to, he recognized me and was super pleasant and answered my question. Mid-90 seconds, worked at a golf course that was so exclusive not even Michael Jordan could be a member. The day was very rainy and the course was closed to everyone except the foursome Jordan was in. He ran late. The other 3 started without him. He arrived, they loaded his clubs on the cart. I was standing probably 50 feet away as he was getting ready to leave and meet his group. No one else around. There was nothing for me to do since no one else was on the course or the driving range. I'm not gawking or anything, just kinda marveling at how tall he is. He calls me over. "How can I help you, Mr. Jordan? Can I have that towel?" "Of course, sir." "Thanks, I knew you were good for something." "Nice." Portos asking, EGC and Skokie. I wasn't implying he wanted to be a member, just that he wouldn't be allowed because they were racist. I met Tom Cruise once walking down Rodeo Drive. I went up to him and shook his hand. He pulled me in close and whispered "Hail Hydra" in my ear. My uncle works at a Vegas casino. None of the Kardashians or Jenners tip anyone, ever. He was with them for over 3 hours and didn't receive a dime and was treated like total garbage. Scott Disick, however, is a great tipper and great guy all around. This goes both ways. I ran into Kirstie Alley 25 years ago when Veronica's Closet was on. She was quiet, but sweet. People came up and wanted photos, but she was with her kids and politely declined, citing her kids. Nearly everyone acted like she had slapped them and turned them down, but she was calm and gracious. Kinda made me sad. I guarantee that half of these stories are caused by fans being dekisis and expecting their hero to respect their crazy fandom. Exactly. I just wanted to say hi and chat for 30 seconds and maybe take a picture. Was that so much to ask? One person? No, constantly, every time you're out in public. Barbara Streisand wasn't a duck. She was a total and complete cup to every stagehand working her show. Fork her. I had a friend whose elderly father was a lifelong Streisand fan. Her father ended up with terminal cancer, and in his last year his adult children contacted Streisand explaining his situation and hoping to get a signed picture to surprise him with before his death. A letter was sent back on Streisand's behalf explaining that she simply has too many fans to accommodate requests like that. My friend would never watch one of her movies again. I met Chevy Chase many years ago. Everything you've heard is probably true. I met Woody Harrelson at health food store. I didn't realize it was him. We were talking in line. At first I thought he was being an asshole, but it turns out he is actually a really cool guy. Ran into Pierce Brosnan while on vacation in Hawaii before Daniel Craig took the role of James Bond. He was in a gift shop and we bumped into each other. Out of surprise, I pulled out my finger GN and shot him in classic Bond fashion. Right in the gut. He staggered back and held his stomach, slowly dying in this gift store in front of me. As a 12-year-old, it was the coolest thing ever. Reversal story. Once worked for a large movie company. I was pissed off and at the end of my workday, so when I saw an open elevator not crowded with folk as I was leaving, I quickly got in and pressed my floor number when I heard a thick voice behind me, sounding a bit far away, saying, "Hold the door." I pretended not to hear given shirt mood. Doors are closing, and I turn. That's when Schwarzenegger's pissed off face appears behind the slit between the ever-closing doors. "I asked you to hold the door, then they shut in his face, and the elevator went down. I'm so sorry, T-800. Met Naomi and Winona Judd at a meet and greet session at Kmart corporate headquarters. I had a Kmart store plan from their hometown for them to autograph. Winona was a complete Uberbench. She scribbled her name on it and then crunched up the paper and threw it at me with some sarcastic comment about rednecks and hillbillies. Then her mom took the paper, gently smoothed it out, and told me that it was the most thoughtful thing she had autographed all day. Very nice and genuine woman. How are those to blood related? Went to Jenkin a few years ago, and Will Wheaton was right behind my husband, and I'd had a huge crush on him as a young girl and looked up to him. I turned around and asked if he minded if I snapped a quick photo. He pretended that I never spoke. His wife gave me these sad eyes, and then his peeking lackeys explained that he doesn't talk to fans. Well, fork you to dude. You could have spoken to me. We were 3 feet apart. Now I can't watch any episodes or movies he is in. It kills it for me. I see his true nature. I never said anything mean. I respected his personal space and walked away after being told no. I didn't force an over-the-shoulder selfie either. This is late, but it needs to be said. I was a bookstore worker for a large chain in a popular city. We did a ton of author signings and talks. Authors are almost universally great. George R.R. Martin was fantastic and really insightful to fans' questions. Stephen King is awesome and stays for everyone. Chuck Palahniuk is great and really hilarious. Toni Morrison stayed and talked in the coffee shop for hours. Margaret Atwood knows more about books and sci-fi than literally anyone I've ever met. However, the shirt crown goes to Mitch Albom. He's a colossal duck to everyone. He openly berated the baristas and the cafe for his coffee's lack of quality. He was a brick to every employee. He sat in this super tight t-shirt and sat with his left arm behind his right to try and push out his biceps and look buffer. Which is hilarious because he's maybe 5'6" and 130 pounds. I'm not going to go as far and say he sexually harassed women, but he was slimy and gross to every woman in sight from ages 80 and 45. It was the worst signing ever. Plus, he acted like Tuesdays with Maury is wisdom on level with the Dalai Lama. My boss actually had to ask him to leave immediately when his scheduled signing was over. His handler, agent, was a very nice woman who was clearly sick of his shirt. Worked in a cinema that hosted premieres, so always dealt with the celebrities during premieres and red carpet events. You really get to know who the ducks are based on how they interact with you. Jennifer Lawrence was by far the worst celebrity I ever encountered. She showed up an hour late because she decided to visit a friend beforehand, so it delayed all of us. Then complained about people shouting at her while she was walking the carpet, and then she snapped her high heel while walking down the stairs. And for some reason, that was also our fault. Nothing but hostility from that woman. Met Richard Branson once. He was nice, but since his name is Richard Branson followed me around the international wing of SF Airport. Really freaked me out. Finally ended up talking to me. I had found the line I needed to be in, was sort of cornered and couldn't get out of it. Talked to me about nothing. Where I was going and why I was going to that particular place. Didn't even want to know why I wasn't flying Virgin. Too bad, because I would have told him. I told a British friend of mine about it, and she said that he is kind of known for that. That he trailed a friend of hers who was driving somewhere in London, I can't recall, and then hopped out his car from behind hers when he could to ask why she had a bumper sticker opposing the Badger call. He wasn't pro-call, he just wanted to know. So weird. Nice suit though. I met Amy Schumer at a hotel bar. The bar was crowded, and I had no idea it was dominated by her and her friends. I sat down next to one of her people and ordered. Amy leaned over her friend and says, "What exactly makes you think you should be here?" I shrugged and said the open seat was my first hint. She looked so insulted, and her friend who I was next to gasped. The bartender goes to put my drink on the bar for me, and Amy puts her meaty hand on his arm and is like, "No, don't serve this asshole. He needs to go." Some dude in a black polo came over and said that I was bothering Miss Schumer and needed to leave. I told him I had no idea who this lady was. He grabbed me by my shirt collar with one hand and gave me the whole macho easy way, or the hard way bit. I told him that that line sounded good coming from Stallone, but not from him. Amy then screams, "Just get the fork out." So I beat feet. I didn't see any reserved sign on the bar, and I wasn't trying to chat up her friend, peeking weirdo bench. I just wanted a couple whiskeys. Edit. So someone sent me a death threat because I bad-mouthed a big mouth. Look, I'm a small-time comedy writer who makes money off of quick comebacks. My jokes with Miss Schumer and the security guard were candid and disrespectful. Yes, but they come naturally to me after doing this for so long. And they were a reaction to her rude behavior. Also, thank you so much to the user who gave me gold. I work at a casino, and I see quite a few celebrities. Firstly, Kevin James treated just about every employee like they were wasting his time. Just get it done. Jlo was banned from one of the casinos I worked in. Mariah and Jlo were both banned from the other. Jlo famously told upper management she didn't want poor people looking her in the eyes and wanted any staff that went near her to look down. She also demanded a new mattress in our villa at 3 a.m., then tried to get the casino to essentially break into a mattress store she had an aid. Google for the mattress she wanted them to buy. God, I'm gonna be here all night, Loy. Oh, one more. Charles Barkley is the worst gambler I've met in my life. William Shatner paid for a meet and greet. I fumble for my ticket token to give to the security guy. It literally took 3 seconds of fumbling. He then yells, "Hurry up, will you?" He clearly did not want to be there, took a photo and shoved me aside. Best celebrity was Ron Perlman, was on the same day. A girl in a wheelchair was in front of me. He gets down onto her level and asks her if she is enjoying herself, and really gave off the vibe like he gave a shirt. He came up to me and firmly shook my hand with a big smile and gave me a one-armed hug and said thanks for coming by. I wrote to Eminem, but he never called me back. I even left my pager, my cell, and my home phone at the bottom. I sent 2 letters back last autumn, but I don't think he received them. I went to his concert, and he didn't speak to me, but that was fine. But I wished he'd signed an autograph for my brother Matthew. He's only 6 years old. We waited for him for 4 hours, and he just said no. He wasn't a celebrity yet, but I had summer calculus with Tom Brady. He was very comfortable assuming that anyone who addressed him was a fanboy trying to ride his duck.